Part 3. The Locker That Whispers. In a classroom outside of time, Ellie Granger is trapped. Desks filled with the hollow-eyed dead. A faceless teacher who punishes curiosity. And now, a doorway that leads not to freedom, but to a hallway built from fear itself. Behind each locker door, there's a voice, some screaming, some sobbing, and one calling her name again and again. Ellie never believed in ghost stories. She never feared the dark. But now she understands the truth. This place doesn't just trap students. It feeds on them. And the only way out may lie in the one locker no one dares open. Ellie stepped into the hallway. The door slammed shut behind her, swallowing the twisted classroom in silence. Before her stretched a corridor longer than seemed possible. Impossibly narrow, lit by a flickering red light that seemed to come from nowhere. Rows and rows of ancient school lockers lined the walls, paint peeling, numbers faded. But they were not still. They trembled. Some rattled violently. Others let out soft cries, muffled like someone inside was gagged. One near her pulsed, like it had a heartbeat. But one locker, down the hall and dead center in her view, remained perfectly still. Gleaming silver unlike the rusted others. It bore no number. Only a name. Ellie Granger. Her breath caught in her throat. The whispering began again. This time clearer, no longer ambient noise, but directed. Focused. Open it. Open it, Ellie. You were always meant to. She took a shaky step forward, then another. But something grabbed her arm. She turned, expecting another one of the dead students, but it was a boy. 17 or 18, with ragged clothes and dirt-smudged skin. He looked like he hadn't slept in years. You can't open it, he said quickly, eyes wide. Once you do, there's no going back. Who are you? She whispered. My name's Matt. I've been here since 2004. I was the last student once too. Ellie stared at him. But I thought no one ever got out. He gave a weak smile. Some of us hide. That's the only way to last longer than a day. You either become part of the lesson, or part of the hallway. She glanced back at the locker with her name. What's inside? Matt's smile faded. Your test. Your worst fear. The thing you brought with you. Everyone brings something. That's how they find you. Ellie shook her head. I don't belong here. No one does, he said. But the road remembers. Old Mill Road doesn't lead to places. It leads to regrets. Behind them, the lockers began to slam open and shut. One after another, like a chain reaction. A wave of sound and fury rushing down the hallway toward them. Matt grabbed her hand. Run. They darted through the hallway, dodging the bursting lockers. One exploded with a shriek, expelling a cloud of insects that screeched like a chorus of suffering children. Another opened to reveal a noose swinging slowly, casting a shadow that formed the shape of a hanged child across the wall. They turned sharply and ducked into a janitor's closet just before the wave reached them. Inside, it was silent again. Matt was shaking. They'll find us. They always do. Ellie leaned against the wall, breathing hard. Then her hand touched something cold, metal. A box. A dusty label read, "Confiscated items, do not return." She opened it. Inside were objects that felt too personal to belong here. A cracked iPhone. A locket with a child's photo. A comic book, its pages soaked in what looked like ink or blood. But one item stood out. A notebook. Her notebook. Her name was scrawled on the cover in faded pen, just as she had when she first started high school. She opened it. The pages were blank, except for one. Near the middle. A drawing. But unmistakable. It was the bus she saw in the woods. And standing next to it was the tall man with the ruler. But this time, his face wasn't erased. It was her principal, Mr. Harlan. She felt the memory slam into her like a wave. His face at an assembly. His quiet voice, the way he always stood in the back during school photos. He's not just the teacher, she whispered. He used to work at our school. I think he still does. Matt nodded slowly. Some of them never leave. They die here. But their echoes crawl back into the world. They teach again. They recruit. Recruit. He pointed to the silver locker. Every new student who vanishes, it strengthens the place. Makes the road longer. Makes him stronger. But there's a way to stop it. Ellie turned, already knowing what he was going to say. You have to open it, Matt said. Not because you'll like what's inside, but because if you face it, you can rewrite the rules. Back in the hallway, the silver locker was glowing softly now. A pale blue light leaked from its cracks like a heartbeat waiting to break open. Ellie approached. Every instinct screamed at her to run. But she reached for the handle. It was warm. She opened it and screamed. Inside wasn't a space. It was a memory. Her bedroom. But twisted. The posters on her walls bled ink. The window looked out into the void. And sitting on her bed was her little brother, Ethan. Only he wasn't really there. His mouth was stitched shut. His eyes wide with terror. He held up a drawing. It showed Ellie walking away, as a dark shadow reached for him from under the bed. Tears welled in her eyes. No. This isn't real. But a voice echoed around her. You were the one who left the door open, Ellie. You said you'd be back in 5 minutes. You forgot him. She fell to her knees. Because it was real. Ethan had been taken from their house 2 years ago. A kidnapping. The police never found the person responsible. She blamed herself, had never told anyone that she left the front door unlocked while she went to the store. She had always known. This road, it had found that guilt. That was her punishment. The vision faded. Ellie sat in front of the open locker, sobbing. But now, something had changed. The hallway was no longer endless. The lockers had gone quiet. Matt stood beside her, astonished. You faced it, he said. You remembered. The hallway behind them began to crack, walls splitting like old wood. Light poured in from the fissures. But before they could react, the floor trembled. From the far end, the faceless teacher stepped into view. Only now, he had a face again. And he was furious.